Tom Sainsbury,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. I just noticed that we've got rhyming names.
Tom and Dom.
Yeah.
We can hear you guys.
We should, later down in the chat when we're not so busy, we should have a company called Tom and Dom.
Yeah, let's do it. You've got, no, I feel like you're just, I've done so much research about you, and I know that you're a people pleaser and a yes man. But so you suggest we have a company, and
Yes.
I'll be messaging you, hey, are you ready to start that company? And you're not going to be able to say no.
No, I know. It's happening. Us selling socks.
Tom and Dom socks.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You're amazing. Tom Sainsbury, the Snapchat dude. TV work includes Shortland Street, Wellington Paranormal, My Life is Murder, The Breaker Uppers, Give Us a Clue, 7 Days, Snack Masters, Super City with Taika. So much and so many plays and stuff as well. And I get the feeling the plays for you are maybe like a creative outlet, and it's things like Snack Masters that keep the lights on.
That's a really good way of putting it. Like, I feel so comfortable on stage doing a theatre show, so I guess that's, yeah, that's right.
And
That's
it's
my
more
passion.
enjoyable?
I quite like something like Snack Masters. Like, that doesn't. I love doing it because I love the challenge of presenting something and all the things that kind of come with it. So it's just another aspect to what I do. So I think I really love the variety. Yeah.
Yeah, and so much. And yesterday, knowing that you were coming in today, I was just scrolling through your Instagram, going right back. And I suppose I studied it with a different lens to someone that just sees the clips every day and watches them. And you are so good at what you do. Like, it's such a talent to be able to observe people, then nail their mannerisms. When did that start? Were you like an introverted little boy? And
Yeah, I think like the observation kind of thing, I think came from my family. Like, my family love kind of discussing people and the eccentricities and having a bit of a laugh about different types of characters and stuff. Usually usually with a kind of a lot of love, and like especially my dad, he's got such a keen sense of observation with people. So I think I kind of learnt it through that. But growing up, yeah, I was really shy and introverted. But I didn't really kind of delve into the mimicry of people or until I was well into my adulthood. So I wasn't really copying the teachers or anything like that at school. You know how some kids are so good at being the clown and kind of mimicking the teachers? That wasn't me.
because some of the stuff I watched, it was like you doing like a mum from the 80s explaining her culinary skills, and it's just you sitting there like, you haven't done your hair, there's no filter, you're just wearing like a black cap shirt or something, but it's still convincing.
Yeah, I think, sometimes I just wake up in the morning, I've got a terrible kind of puffy pillow face, and I've got terrible bed hair, and I'm just kind of pinking it, which is like, I should consider that a little bit more. But I think the, keep it in its purest form. So I don't want any of that extra stuff anymore. I used to be big into that and getting the wigs and all that kind of the outfits and things, but I'm just like, no, let's just pare it back.
It seems lazy in a way, like you're putting less effort in, but it's like the fact that you can still do these characters and they seem convincing and they're funny.
Yeah.
It says a lot about your skill, first of all, but also how comfortable you now are with your skill.
But I also love, like you say, lazy. Like, it is like I think with all these things, if it took too much effort to do in energy, I don't think I'd do it as much. So I think like by making it as easy as possible, it helps me.
And has the more well known you've become, has it become harder for you to like just be a guy that's sitting in the corner observing people? Yeah, because you're at a point now, I suppose, where a lot of rooms you go into, people are observing you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, yes, you do. There's like an extra self-consciousness because, yes, I used to just kind of go to the food court or whatever and just sit there and just kind of just watch everyone and kind of take it all in. So I do have to be a bit more aware of that. Yeah, definitely.
So you're saving your disguises now for the food court.
Exactly. Put that cap on, those glasses on, and just observe.
Could you do me? How would you do me?
I would, first of all, I'd mention running a lot. And then maybe palmy. And what and that's all I'm going to say. You've got a wonderful kind of what is that kind of not raspy, but yeah. I don't want to.
Why?
I'll do it later.
Are you? Yeah, maybe we can do it. Do you get people asking you all the time? Can you do me? Is that a thing you get asked a lot?
No, not too much, but I do get people kind of asking me to be characters and things like that in front of them.
'Cause my sister in Perth, because of the 5-hour time difference, and also we're just in different phases of our life. Like we don't see each other all that much, but she will message me like every 2, 3, 4 weeks. Just sharing a copy of one of your clips, saying, who does this remind you of? And it's like I can usually nail the person in the broader family right away. You hear that a lot from people? That sort of thing? It's
less hearing about it, it's more the kind of comments underneath my videos. I just really dine out, and I absolutely love... I mean, it's so wanky, Dom, but the kind of the community. The comments underneath from the people are brilliant, and that also inspires... probably a quarter of the comments inspire the next video. They're like, this reminds me so much of that time, I wrote a dinky diary. And so now suddenly I'm obsessed with dinky diaries. I'm kind of unfolding that into my 80s kind of sketches and things like that. So I think it's more the comments.
Yeah, it was a dinky diary when I watched the other day, and it was about... the girl that had the dinky diary, like she had a little booby trap thing on, which was like a hair, and her mum broke the hair cell, and it was like it was phenomenal. Did your sister have a dinky diary? Where does this come from?
The dinky diary. We all had diaries. Me and my brother and sister, we all had diaries. But the dinky thing kind of came out in my adulthood that even existed as a concept. But it's interesting. It's also when you kind of tap into these things, like you never think about dinky diaries, and then you're suddenly in the zone of the 80s and you're thinking about eating the salads, and you're thinking about, getting stationery at the beginning of the year, and then your mind starts remembering other things, and then you can all feed it in. It's all kind of there, buried.
Yeah, it is. So is the demographic of people that watch your clips sort of people the same age or the same?
Yeah, so you can break it down. You can push a button and you can find out who's watching your stuff. So mostly it's women aged 35 to 45 is my kind of target demographic, is what they say. And it used to be mostly Kiwis, well, people in New Zealand, but now it's actually more Australians. But, that would be, I'm sure, 50% New Zealanders who now live there.
Yeah. So anyone of that age, or anyone that's had a dinky diary, or had a sister with a dinky diary, or had a salad with like grated carrot and half eggs, and
you got him.
And how many different characters do you reckon you've done? Like 100, 200?
Yeah, probably 200 over it. There's kind of stock stat. There's the you can break it down to kind of stock standard characters, posh people, or the dad, or a younger, like a guy like this kind of thing. And so so I would say there'd probably be 15 types of person, and then all the characters that just kind of fit into that.
Are you on like Cameo or Swish? Those sites where sports people mainly do like video messages for fans? Are you on any of those? Or?
No, I'm not on any of those. I kind of like... I like it, and sometimes people send me messages saying, hey, can you do something for my mum? And I'm more than happy to kind of do that. I think the kind of the cameo and making I think that suddenly the pressure's there. A part of me, Dom, just wants to be able to walk away at any moment, even though I've been doing this for, 7, 8 years. A part of me still likes the concept of just being to step away at any time, and having any of that pressure of having to do a cameo just doesn't suit me.
Yeah, and if you're charging someone like $50, I suppose they can be like, well, it's not as good as what I hoped.
You 100% right.
Yeah. What's your I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what's your longest streak? Your longest continuous daily streak?
Oh, that's a really good question. I wouldn't know, but it's probably 3 weeks every day. Is probably pretty standard, and then I'd have a day off to kind of gather myself. Or it's quite hard when you're working kind of full time, or doing a shoot or something like that. It's always hard to kind of fit in the videos. But yeah, 3 weeks I'd say.
It must feel like a lot of pressure from your community. Like people are like, where's I haven't seen one for 2 days. What's going on?
This is a really good question. I think there's multiple things kind of going on with it. Like I do get I love doing it. I love kind of putting it out there, and I love the kind of reaction that I get from it. And maybe I'm a little bit addicted to that. Like, I'm sure there's some kind of dopamine hit when a video goes really well. Because definitely it's on the flip side. When a video doesn't go well or people just don't kind of connect with it, you're like, oh. But I know.
Yeah.
A bit bummed out. Or you're like, I know, exactly. I spent a good 7 minutes working on that. Why have you ruined my day? But is there pressure? Yes, but it's also really interesting with an online community because they are. I feel like I kind of know these people, but it's also like it's just comments on a video. Like it's not you're not letting someone down to their face. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't even know the people. It's like, but it's a dopamine thing, eh? A massive.
Yeah.
What's the planning process? So you have an idea and you write in the notes section of your phone.
You got it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like, what am I going to do today? And one of my most, I really wanted to do a video, but I had no idea for it. And I was just kind of going through Snapchat, looking at different filters. And there was one of this guy with really swollen face. And the whole story kind of came out about it, like he was dog sitting a dog that was meant to be hypoallergenic, but he's kind of having a reaction to it. And that video did so well. And that just came from looking at my face with this strange filter on. So that was no prep at all.
So there's generally no scripting?
No, never any scripting.
But I watched one the other day. It was you, I think you being a journalist, talking to a politician about the housing crisis or something.
Yes.
That must have been scripted. That was amazing.
That one. So the scripting bit's not actually for the listeners. It's not, the scripting wasn't on screen. So I'm a journalist who doesn't get a word in edgeway with the politician. But I wrote something out and I was reading it and I just had it as a recording. Yes, that was written.
Yeah, it was remarkable. It was really, really good. What about one take wonders? Many, or like what's the average amount of
good
attempts?
Question. Probably 1 in 10 would be a one take wonder. Most of them would be probably 3 takes. You just kind of find out what it is when you're doing it. But there is you're just kind of vibing it out. Yeah, there's not much prep.
Even that's amazing, because I'll pull my phone out and do like a running selfie, like, hey, it's raining, it's my favourite. And it's just me being me, but sometimes that'll take me like half a dozen attempts to be me.
Yeah, 100%. It's because you might as well do it all. You might as well do it satisfactorily. Do you know what I mean? If you've kind of screwed it up. But also, I get tongue-tied. Most of my characters are big talkers, and sometimes you just can't get all the words out properly.
It's real refreshing to hear this. I don't know what I was expecting. Part of me, I suppose, kind of hoped you had like a moleskin notebook and it was like well thought out, and you had like maybe if you're going on holiday, you do 10 in advance and you schedule them and stuff. But there's nothing like, nah. Just wake up.
Often wake up and go, oh, what shall I do this morning? But in saying that, sometimes I've had, I've had 5 good ideas have just come to me in a day, and I've just kind of scribbled them on my notes. And so sometimes there is a bit of prep. And also with these things, you don't know how much is prep. Like I might think of like the politician one. I actually thought about that a couple of weeks ago, and then I was like, I should do something about that. Planted it in my head, but your brain kind of processes it without you having to do much work, if that makes sense.
And you've never, as far as I'm aware, like you've never done any sort of like brand deals with them. So it's always been like free content. Always
free content. Well, no, I've done probably over the 7 years, I've probably done about 12 brand content kind of stuff. Some of them were fantastic. Like I did a Pizza Hut one where they got me to design my own pizza, and then that became a whole thing for 3 weeks, which was heaps of fun. So things like that.
Well, I'm pleased about that.
Yeah,
I'm pleased about that because it's the work's so good, and you've built up this amazing following. If you can't sort of monetize it somehow,
well, what I always say is that because you've got this following, like I just did a tour of Southland, and people only came to the show because they knew my videos, and that's how you kind of make it on box office and ticket sales.
Oh, okay, and other opportunities that come your way as a result of it.
100%.
Was there like a tipping point sort of moment or a breakthrough moment, like a moment where you think where you can actually sort of like pinpoint if you look back over the Tom Sainsbury career?
Not like it's all been so gradual. Like there's been no kind of jump in my career. It's all been like just the next slow progression, sadly.
No, I think that's kind of good in a way, because if you have exponential growth, then it's likely to be, I think it increases the chances of being a one-clip wonder or an exponential fall as well. I think slow and steady growth is the way to go.
Yeah.
What about, the clips that you've like posted and then like deleted like an hour or 2 hours later, like
Yes, and there's two there's ones that you're like, this isn't as good as it can be, or like I haven't nailed the joke. Usually I just kind of leave it up, but sometimes I'm like, this could be done better, quickly take it down and you can do it better another time. But there's also been ones where it's just kind of it's missed the mark, or it's a little bit kind of too mean, or that kind of like, or it's going to be too contentious, and do you have the energy to kind of boldly stand behind your kind of contentious kind of opinion, which I've taken those down.
Like what? Is there anything that you can think of? Because you're one of the least mean people I think I've met.
Yeah, I think it's when like you're...
Or you just have a low mean threshold.
Yeah.
I've heard you say you like some provocative comedians like Ricky Gervais, but you like to watch him being provocative rather
than... it is. 100%. You watch it going, God, I wish I had that kind of boldness. But no, I'm
but
too
go
much...
Ricky.
I know. Go Ricky and entertain me. 100%. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it would be more kind of when you're kind of nastier to the characters. It's like, because all the characters I do are so silly, pompous, full of themselves and stuff like that, but when you're kind of being mean about them in their situation, or something that they can't kind of help, or that's the hard ones.
What was the story with Jacinda and Clark's cat Paddles?
Yeah.
So Paddles, the cat that got run over, I think it was on like Meola Road in Point Chev. Did you did a character and you got some backlash? No, what was the?
I did a video as Paula Bennett. Like there was the timing. I just had to commit to it. The timing was great. So Paddles got run over, and then Paula Bennett, Nikki Kay, Maggie Barry were all in a car doing a video at the same time, and so I just kind of did a video that connected it, that it was that car that ran over Paddles. I think most people saw it, and most people had a good laugh about it.
I didn't know the backstory. I was just about to spit take it. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah. Is there any sort of fear of like cancellation? Is that something that plays on the back of your mind?
Yes, of course. Cancellation is always a thing to worry about, and especially sometimes when you're in the kind of the throw of kind of creativity, you don't even realise what you're kind of creating. So cancellation is something to consider, but also there's a bit of, if you've got a contentious video, the next day everyone's kind of forgotten about it. I find.
Yeah. This is so interesting. I promise only another couple more about the...
No, of course.
Are these the questions you get asked all the time?
No, not at all, yeah.
So politicians you've done. Oh, by the way, when you start typing your name into Google, like Tom Sainsbury, you know how it does the Google complete thing?
Yes.
It comes up with Tom Sainsbury, Jacinda Ardern wedding. Was that a clip you did, or were you a guest at the wedding? No,
I did a video of it that went huge. I actually did take that video down. It just was so I did a video of her talking about her wedding, which was earlier this year or end of last year, and it became very contentious. Yeah.
Why?
I think it was because unfortunately she's such a polarizing kind of character, and people kind of used it as an opportunity to hate on her, but then also defend her, and it just became this big fight. It wasn't so much on me; it was more about the language that people were saying to each other, and the commentary was just like getting really toxic. So I was like, let's just take this down or hide it. Yeah.
So is she a friend? Do you know her?
No, she's not a friend, but I've met her a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. What, and you've been on, knowing you were coming here, I've listened to other podcasts you've been on. You've been on Simon Bridges.
That's right.
And you've been on Paula Bennett's
That's
podcast.
Right, yes.
You seem to have a good relationship with those guys, even though you
mercilessly took the piss out of them. Yeah. I think it's an interesting one with them, because when I kind of first started doing it, I didn't really think of them as people. But then when you it's an interesting thing when you mimic someone and you watch so many videos of them. I just connected with their humanity. And then, of course, I did the show called Have You Been Paying... Give Us a Clue, which is a charades thing, with Paula. It was me, Paula, and Hilary Barry. And then Simon came on and did a few things. And so you just kind of tap to these people. And with all the politicians, even though I take the piss out of them and I might not agree with them, I kind of enjoy them as characters and quite enjoy them as people.
Yeah, as people. Yeah. Michelle Obama's got this quote that I really like. She says something, I'll probably botch it up, but it's something like most people are hard to dislike up close.
That's such a good... I've never heard that. That's it.
Yeah, it's really true. Yes,
Yeah.
I've had Simon Bridges on the podcast, and he was bloody great.
I know. Bloody great, and also got such a good sense of humour about himself.
What about Trump? Have you done much with American politics? It'd be very easy to do, eh?
He
For
is
you?
easy to. I've actually just done Mike Pence, his VP, back in the day, but it just didn't kind of connect with the audience just weren't interested in anything American. It's an interesting, I should just make videos that kind of inspire me and stuff, but it has been quite interesting I've been doing a lot less politics now because I've got so many Australians, people from the UK, and so many Americans kind of watching my stuff, that the more localised stuff just doesn't connect with people.
That's so fascinating. Hey, thanks for sharing all that
Oh,
stuff.
my pleasure.
Can we talk about young Tom now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the early years. So you're from a dairy farm in Matamata.
You got it.
What best and worst things about being a farm kid? Did you enjoy it? I used to get sent in the school holidays to my uncle and auntie's farm in Laverne. I fucking hated it.
Did you?
Couldn't stand it. It was awful. It was always last to get up in the morning, last to put on my overalls, and I'd get the shit spot on the back of the tractor where the mud gets flung up.
Yes.
It was always cold.
This is all speaking to me. What would I say would be the worst? The best thing about it would be, the worst might be there was never, on a farm you never relax because anything can happen at any time. And so sometimes you'd be going and helping Dad with a cow that's having trouble. So you'd be helping Dad with the cow that's having trouble in the middle of the night. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a sense of you can't fully relax, I think. That would be and I think farmers across the world would appreciate that vibe. The best thing about it would probably be I just loved having so much kind of empty space to kind of go and wander and kind of be myself. And what else would I like about it? Also, I love animals, and even though I've got this kind of complicated relationship with farming them, I did get to spend a lot of time with animals.
Yeah.
So let's say the worst thing actually is the killing and the death. Like, forget about the not being able to relax.
Yeah. But there's always jobs to be done, eh?
Yeah.
It's like I'd get up and have a nice relaxing breakfast, and my auntie Robin would be like, "Oh, can you take this billy to the vat and fill it up with milk?" And it was like a couple of 100 metres walk, and I'd have to...
Dom, you are speaking. We've had a shared experience. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah.
They called me a city slicker, and I was from Palmerston from the 80s. I was hardly a city slicker, but I just didn't want to be on the farm.
Yeah, 100%.
And the smell of silage and...
You got it.
It was awful. Is that why you're a vegan now?
I think it is, yeah. When I think kind of back up, well, it is. I think, like I'm terrible with my eating and stuff. Like, I'm not doing it for kind of health reasons, but it was definitely having this experience of seeing animals that you kind of really appreciate and enjoy and like, and they're your friends, and then you can see them killed. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm the worst sort of meat eater. Like I'll gladly pick it up from New World, but I don't want to know the backstory.
Yeah, but I mean, there is that thing about not wanting to know the backstory. But someone said to me, if you don't kill your own animal, but even in tribal times, Dom, not everyone did the killing. People did the butchering. Some people did the gathering, and then they ate the fruits of the meat. So that's fine.
Cause you were always a creative kid, like you started writing plays when you were like 9.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is your dad creative? Is your mum creative?
My mum is an English teacher, and both my parents were really good big readers. They would read to me, and they were also really, they went to all the movies, especially led by my mum, and then my dad would be dragged along and enjoy it. But they took me to some pretty amazing, like I remember watching Heavenly Creatures, Schindler's List, like when I was like 10, 11, just kind of being taken to these amazing films and just kind of enjoying them. So I think the culture was there, but in terms of pen to paper, I don't know where that came from.
Schindler's List doesn't seem like an appropriate movie to take it to.
I think I was 11, and I remember going to it and kind of being blown away by it.
And you're a gay male. Well, 75% gay. I've heard you
that's
say.
right.
What is? Yeah, that was on another podcast, I think. What does that mean? What does 75% gay mean?
I think I would describe. Well, I think it's not so binary for me. Of like I'm only attracted to men. I think. Let's just say if I lived in a time, where it was forbidden, I could have managed a relationship with a woman, and it would have been fine. It wouldn't have been completely against what I might.
You like white knuckled it.
I could have white knuckled it and been fine. Probably had kids, but been very kind of yearning and unhappy. But I would have managed it.
When did you realise you were more into guys than girls? Do you think?
Well, I think a lot of kind of gay men have this experience of like you don't really address it, or kind of like, I guess from when I was like 11 or 12, I probably would have known if I was honest with myself, but you just kind of don't process those feelings. You just kind of just keep soldiering on and not kind of address it. And then whenever someone would kind of bring it up, or one of your friends would have a girlfriend or something like that, or there was talk about girls, you just kind of like be a master of deflection. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you're growing up in like a place like Matamata in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was. Yeah, I can't imagine it was like a hotbed of
gay
activity.
You gotta like it was the like I've got no trauma about it, but it was definitely the worst. The worst thing you could be would be like societally or in class. It would be the worst thing you could possibly be. Like there was most aversion to gayness. Like you could be the worst behaved boy, but if you were gay, that was worse than that. Yeah. But also, in saying that, like there were still so many avenues. Like there was so much theatre. Like theatre was so kind of encouraged for me, and all that kind of, and art and all that kind of stuff still existed then.
Yeah. So you came out, I think, to your parents at like 28.
Yeah.
That's quite late.
It is. I know.
Did they know? Like, when you came out, was it like, okay, Tom?
Yeah, exactly.
Ta-da, we know.
We haven't really talked about it, but yeah, they must have known.
Was that something that you built up to be a big thing? And
yeah, of course. But I was like, this is the weekend, they're coming up, you have to tell them, and then you don't tell them, and then another year passes. That's the vibe of it. I know. I'm like, just should have ripped that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this stuff because as like a heterosexual male, it's not it's just something you don't even have to think about. It's not a conversation you have to have, and it just feels like a extra level of complexness into an already complicated time of your life.
Yeah, I would, yeah. Also, like, maybe I haven't kind of processed any of those feelings or anything like that, or you kind of shut yourself down so much to any of that kind of feeling that you don't really experience anything truthfully, but you also have kind of put this armour up so nothing's really penetrated you. Yeah. Excuse the pun.
Pun excused. Did you want to talk about the sperm donor stuff? I've heard you talk about that. Yeah. So you're I suppose I've got a level of curiosity about this because JJ and I, when we were married, we had years and years of IVF and fertility treatment.
Yes.
In the end, that was unsuccessful after something like 6 rounds of IVF. So then we went into the donor sperm route, and ultimately we gave up, and that wasn't successful. But first of all, yeah, good on you for doing it. It's really cool. So you've got 2 biological children.
That's right.
Yeah,
running around and love them. Like it just keeps getting better and better, and I'm so lucky. From the get-go, the mothers. So I donated to a lesbian couple, so each of them had a child each. So the children are technically biologically half siblings, and I think it's just like I really love the parents, I love the family, and it's just, I think by luck we just took a chance and it kind of paid off, and we get on really well. I'm sure there is some, and I recommend people do it, and I really encourage people to guys to do it, but I might have lucked out. So I think with other people maybe be cool. I don't know. It may go pear-shaped, but thankfully for me it hasn't.
So they approach you?
They approached me. They had we had a mutual friend, and then the friend kind of rang me up and said, "Do you want to meet these 2?" And I kind of did, and then we just kind of the ball started rolling before I really thought about it, and now there are 2 beautiful children running around.
Yeah, you make it sound real easy, but having been in the same position as this lesbian couple and having to ask a friend of mine to do it, there's quite a few hoops to go through. Like, he had to go through some counselling, and then there's the specimen room. Oh, the wank room.
The wank room. Okay, the wank room. So this is my realisation, because I used to laugh about it because it was all carpeted. Like, it's floor, ceiling, walls are carpeted. And the whole time I was like, feels not right, because surely you'd need surfaces that you could easily wipe down. But someone explained to me, it's for sound. It's like, it's insulation, so all the carpet's in the room so that people can't hear you masturbating. And I didn't even think about that. I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, but it's guys that are providing the specimen in this room.
Yes.
Most guys start, I think, discovering themselves and discovering masturbation in the teenage years when you're living at home.
Yes.
We know how to do it silently.
I know.
So, whereabouts was it? Was it Fertility Associates? The one in Ellerslie or the one in Green Lane? Green Lane, yeah.
Do you know what's that one called? I don't know. I
can't remember what that one's called, but that's the less bougie one. But the I've been in that specimen room as well. And so there was a lazy boy chair with like a sheet over
Oh my
it.
God, yes.
And there was
no one else has been. I don't know. I've met anyone went to this room. You're talking about, and there's like a filing cabinet in the corner when I was there, and you kind of open it, and there's one well-thumbed penthouse, and that's the extent of it.
Yeah, there was. There's a penthouse there, and I'm thinking, I've got data
my phone.
on my phone.
I know.
I'm good.
100%.
I'm good. And then it's so. I remember, they give you the little portal.
Yes.
So you're going into the room.
Dom, I'm so glad I'm talking to someone who's had this experience.
So you know what you're doing in the room.
Yes.
They know what you're doing in the room. So I got it done as quickly as what I could, and then I left the room. Then I did like a fake sprint up to the reception counter, and I was like, "Stop the clock." No laughter or anything, eh? It's not a...
No, it's
not
all
a joke
very,
zone.
very, very serious. And then you kind of walk down with the walk of shame and you hand over, because you've got to put it in a bottle and then into a plastic bag and hand that one over. Only one time. So I went in 7 times because there was going to be 2 children. I had to do 7 deposits. And only one time I had to wait, and I had to wait, and I had to wait. So this poor guy was in there just unable to kind of tip over. But eventually he emerged with a sweaty brow. Tom, I can't believe I've met someone else who's had this experience.
Yeah. It's a random thing, and that's why this is when I was still trying to have a child with my own sperm, and then so I asked a friend to do it, and there was like a checklist and a bunch of reasons why I selected this particular friend. Part of it because he had his own family and he lived in a different part of the country, and we're not friends that see each other that often. So he wasn't going to be around every weekend, like saying, "Oh, look at their eyes," or it's kind of a weird. I don't know. From my part, it's probably an ego thing. It's like a weird sort of ownership thing you don't want. But
I think there's so much emotion. There's so much involved in it. There's so much. Emotion, and there is that kind of biological connection whether you have it or not. Like when I first met the children, I didn't feel a huge kind of biological urge with them, but as the kind of years have gone on, like I'm so kind of fond of them now and spend more and more time with them. So you do kind of it's complicated and can be messy.
Yeah, but it's a big thing for you to go through for someone else. So
I know.
Yeah, good on you for doing that.
Well, it isn't as it isn't. Like, you only have to go 7 times. Well, I'll tell you what the hard thing was for me. Like, actually, I had to do none of the other. I didn't have to carry a child for 9 months, but I think because I'm the most squeamish person I know, and of course you have to take these. Well, I had to take all these blood tests. So you take a blood test before you start depositing, and then afterwards you have to give one, just so that you're clear of any diseases that you might kind of give to the mother. And I just passed. So every time I did it, I passed out. Well, the first time I did it, I passed out, fell onto the ground. This tiny Filipino nurse had to kind of carry me to the ground. And then I was like kind of sat in the car, kind of gathering myself for half an hour. And then I left and I got a phone call going, "So sorry, we didn't tick syphilis. You have to go back and test for syphilis." So I had to go and do it again. Syphilis? Yeah, syphilis.
Wow, what is this, the 1800s? Syphilis?
I know,
Who has syphilis?
I know.
I reckon it would have been safe. And this is probably not something that you think about, but I suppose I'm thinking about on behalf of you. Like,
yes.
you're very well known. Like, people know the name or they know the face.
Yeah.
Does that add an extra level of embarrassment, or is it not something you think about? Like when you're going in there and you.
Yeah, I think back then. So this was 10 years ago when I did the deposits, and so I was just kind of starting out on the scene. My videos were just kind of going out there, so there was none of that then, I don't think. And it was also like because I was just getting into stand-up, I was like, there's so much about this that I can put into my stand-up, and I have.
Yeah. I suppose you could also go up to the counter and be a character, eh? Or boom, my dad here.
Exactly.
Not actually Tom.
Well, as you said, with the kind of this hitting the clock, going, finish, stop the clock, they're all very professional and very clinical.
Yeah. So the kids are quite old now?
Yeah, so 8 and 6.
Have they got your mannerisms, or is there anything that you can sort of see yourself in them?
I can't, but when I show people pictures, they're like, I can see you in it, but I can't really see it so much. So the 8-year-old is a little girl, and then the 6-year-old is a boy, and the girl has more than usual child flair for theatrics and writing. So I'm like, okay, honey, good luck to you.
Well, that's cool. And what do they call you? Is it just like Tom?
They call me Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tom, but very, very aware. Like and they've been explained about donation and all that kind of stuff, so they're very aware of it.
I think that's healthy. But yeah, again, from a parenting perspective, it's another layer of
explanation. Yeah. I guess with
you figure it out though. You can explain it to kids in a way that they can handle it at whatever age they're at, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's also like a rainbow community of like parents in a similar situation. So like, they're not the only ones in this situation, as far as I'm aware. And
you and your partner, Josh.
Jacob.
You've been together a long time now, right? You got a house.
We do have a house. Yeah, I think we've been together for 6-7 years. Yeah.
Right. Do you guys want kids at all? Or?
No, we've got a cat, and that's enough for us. It's like we love having the kids over, and also nieces and nephews. But when they go at the end of the day, you're like, oh, thank goodness, I can relax. Yeah, but we like to chill.
Yeah, you guys married?
No.
You want to get married?
No.
Yeah. Why? We fought for your rights.
I know. It's an interesting one, and we often kind of ask this question. I think neither of us want the kind of, the ceremony of the wedding. Like, I don't need that. I just get, I'm the centre of attention on stage doing stand-up and stuff like that. So I don't kind of need that. And we're also a little bit embarrassed about public displays of affection, and for us, weddings is the most public display of affection that you can possibly have.
Fair enough.
But every wedding I go to, I love, and I do love when people get married, but it's just not for us.
What does he do? What does Jacob do?
He works for the council, so
right.
he's a urban planner. So he thinks about things, about the city and how it's run, and he's kind of talking about aqueducts from Rome, and he's talking about how the city kind of runs and the better way to do it, and strip malls and how to get flow of people in. So he kind of thinks about society.
What does he make of what you do?
He is he's fully invested. He's what's really good about Jacob is he's not a fan. Like, he really appreciates what I do, but it would be bad if he was a fan. He's very what's the word? Truthful. If he thinks something's good, he lets me know, and if it's not so good, he's willing there to talk about it, which I think is healthy for a relationship. And he's and it also means that when something is good, and he tells me it's good, I know it's true. If that all makes sense.
Are you good at communicating in relationships?
Really good question. I think previous relationships, not so much, but for some reason, quite badly in some previous relationships. But I do think there's something about finding the right person for you, and he and I have no trouble with it.
Yeah, that's good. And I think everyone needs those bad experiences, because it's like the evolution process. It leads you to the person that you are
There's
today.
something about, like, I've got to do my research, but like 3 main relationships in your life, like this, the first one's just like the throes of the passion and stuff, and the second one you work out the relationship, you work out who you are in a relationship, and the third one's the one that kind of works. I think that might be true.
I've got a card here called Miscellaneous with some just bits and pieces of the Tom Sainsbury story on.
Perfect.
Was your first job on a commercial for a Canadian beer?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah? Yes.
How the fuck did that happen?
So they were filming. Okay. I don't know if I've talked about the story. Molson Dry came over and like some kind of deal with New Zealand. They came over and they did 8 ads here, and I auditioned. And because when you're an actor, I was just taught they ask for your skills, and you just go, I'm gonna tick horse riding, and then if I get the job of horse riding, then you do it. And so one of the things I ticked was pyramid water skiing. So I did the audition, and then they called me back. They're like, let's come in and meet the producers. So I met all the American producers and stuff, or the Canadian producers, and they're like, so is it true that you can ski in a pyramid? Like one,
3 people,
throw at the bottom, 2 people on
people.
the shoulders, 1 person on the top. They asked me, and I was like, yep. So I said yes, I could. I'd never, I can barely stand up on water skis. It takes me so long. I was like, in a pyramid? Are you serious? And so
It's very niche.
I know, so niche. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then I went and I just stressed about it for days. And then I rang up my agent and said, listen, she made it really good. She rang up and said, he doesn't feel comfortable doing a pyramid. And they're like, that's fine. We like him. Come in and do this other ad. So I did this other ad of a peeping Tom looking through a hole in a toilet in a bathroom at a house party and spying on a girl, they think. But I'm actually staring at the bear. I'm like, I can't wait to get hold of that bear.
Is that ad on YouTube or anywhere?
I haven't been able to find it. It'd be crazy to find.
What year was that? That doesn't sound like it would have aged very well.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. Maybe 2002 or 3.
Right. Okay, that was age. So how old were you then? Like in your early 20s or whatever?
Yeah. Would have been 20, 21.
Yeah, so you left school and you were a dropout, eh? You were doing like theatre school and you dropped out or something?
I auditioned for theatre school
Right.
and didn't get in.
Okay.
So I didn't do a good enough job in my audition. And so then I just went and did English Lit at Auckland Uni.
Mm. Yeah, what was the plan? What was the plan B?
Plan B was, I think the writing. Like I auditioned for drama school and didn't do it. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a playwright. So I actually focused on writing plays for years and years and years.
Mm.
Yeah.
You met Katy Perry in Vegas?
I did.
How randomly, or is it like a one of those VIP meet and greets? Where
You got it.
Like you pay a couple $100 or something for that.
You got it. So we were over, me and some Kiwi friends, but I didn't actually have to pay for the meet and greet. So even though I told everyone that, I actually have a connection to someone, a Kiwi that works in her company. So he managed to kind of get me into the VIP experience, and I love Katy Perry. So I got to meet her before her concert where you talk to her for 2 minutes and then have a photo and stuff like that. But I was so badly sunburned and I was so hot and I was so sweaty that when I had a photo, I put my face on her. Like, I didn't want to put my arm around her because I had, those big sweat things under my arm. So I was like, I can't put my arm around her because my pit will sweat all over her. So I just went face to face with my hands stiffly by my side. And when our faces touched, when we pulled apart, there was like a... So, and you can see this if you scroll back far enough on Instagram.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Is she your favourite artist? One of your favourites?
No, my favourite artist across the board, any discipline of art, I would say Stephen King is my favourite artist, the writer of horror.
Oh, I heard on another podcast you were doing that whenever this podcast was recorded, you were in the process of reading all 60 of his books.
Yeah. So
did you do that?
No, I'll be up to 30 now. So I'm reading Cujo, which I'm sure everyone
does.
The
dog.
killer dog.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been a practicing Buddhist for 16 years.
Good on you, dog.
Yeah. What attracted you to Buddhism?
I was dating a Buddhist and I was working with a Buddhist randomly, and I was kind of exposed to it gently. And then every time I heard more about it, I was like, this just really fits in with what I think about life and all that kind of stuff. And then it took me 2 years to kind of make any commitment, and I'm so glad I did. And it's a practice. I mean, it does require a little bit of discipline, and when you are disciplined, you reap the rewards. But otherwise, it's wonderful.
What are the main sort of foundations of it?
I think it's like a big thing is kind of taking any kind of what you might perceive as negative emotions or anything like that, and just going, okay, what is the worth and what is the good out of this that I can kind of take from it or grow from it, and also not putting judgment of evil and bad and all those kind of things. Going, okay, what is the good in here? The main tenet is, for me, so you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And one of the translations of that is to grow lotus flowers out of mud. So it's basically taking any bad situation and finding the good.
And what about the reincarnation aspect of it?
Yeah, that's the one thing I struggle with that concept. That's the one thing I struggle with.
But it must make you feel good about all the animals that you and your family killed.
Yeah, exactly. That they've come back. They've come back. I know.
Small Town Scandal. This was a podcast you did last year.
Yes.
So it's, how did that come about? Was it Sam Collins from
You
NZ?
got it. Yes.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's so wonderful. I love him. I did a food podcast for them, and he's like, if you've got any ideas, please come and reach out to me. And the idea was doing something like this, like having a kind of a conversational kind of one. But I was like, what am I into? And I've been listening to so many. I think podcasts are my favourite. And I was listening to so many of the true crime ones, or the famous ones, making my way through Serial and Teacher's Pet and things like that, and Shittown, and just going, my comedy is taking the piss a bit, so I'm like, let's do taking a piss out of a small town scandal true crime documentary. And so that's how it kind of happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. I only started listening to it the other day, knowing that you were coming in here. So it's basically an extension of what you do on social media. So it's you doing it's only you, but it's you doing like a total of, I think, 50 characters all up in the course of the series. But you don't have like with social media, you have your face and your hand mannerisms and, face filters or whatever. But this, it's just voice only, which makes it extra difficult. What was the process with that?
There were 40. I think there are 46 characters in total.
Unreal.
But how we would do it, my brain would turn into absolute mush, and I could only manage doing 3. So we wouldn't record it. Like if there was a conversation, I wouldn't do one character then the other back and forth. I'd just record all of one character, and I could only do 3 at a time, because if I did any more, I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. So thanks to them, thanks to Sam and Adam who did the recording, it was very short bursts.
And is there talk about that being made into a TV show now?
That's right, yeah. So we're developing it. A TV producer listened to it, and she's like, this would be great for a television show. So we kind of put in an application. I had very low hopes for it, and then they're like, let's do it. So it's all kind of happening at the moment. So it's only in the writing scripting stage at the moment.
So how's that going to work in terms of actors and stuff? Is it just you?
It's not. So we're going to get all the other. I'm just going to play the lead, and everyone else is going to play. We're going to cast all the other roles. People are like, why isn't it all you? And I'm like, with it would just be a nightmare. It would be a logistical nightmare for me to do everything and to slow it. Like, it would be so slow of like me having to go and get my wig fitted and my big hook nose put on to do all the other side of the scene. It would just be too much of a nightmare. Yeah,
and you've had some meetings in the States, about doing some work over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd you get on with them?
It's all it's a kind of a lukewarm. I've got a kind of manager over there that I'm just kind of keeping in touch with. It's ever since the writers' strike last year, and actually I was over there when it was kind of happening. It's Hollywood is a kind of a bit dead now, and my manager's advice was just focus on your TV show and get it kind of done, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because how do you find the Americans? Because they're relentlessly positive, and they're so enthusiastic.
Yeah,
but do you leave those meetings? Like, how many people are in those meetings? Let's set the scene for us. Usually it's like 1-on-1 or 1-on-2. Like me and I go and meet with 2 people, or I just go and meet one person quite casually in a cafe somewhere and just kind of chat with them and stuff. There is the cliche of them being relentlessly positive, but you can also tell pretty early on. You can tell pretty early on that they're not vibing with you, or that. If they're not vibing with you, or it's mostly the idea, they're like, I'm not really. You can tell when someone's not into your idea, because you kind of go in there and you just try and pitch your story ideas. But occasionally you win them over. So you kind of just sit down with them and you're like, hi, you chat a bit, have a bit of small talk, and then they're like, what do you want to talk about? Because time is money. You've got 20 minutes with these people, or 40 minutes, and then you just kind of prattle off your TV ideas and see if anything kind of hits with them. Yeah, from the thousands of hours of stuff you've done on stage, like, are you good at winning people over? No. If you can tell they're not initially, no? I'm terrible. I'm not.
So yeah, I'm not very good at it. What I love about Americans is that what I love, and it kind of goes against my whole sensibility, is how relaxed they are in their successes. Like, they're like, yep, I've done the show. Yeah, it was awarded. I'm a great person. I'm a wonderful person. And you're like, what? No, I kind of go on going, here's my script. Don't bother reading it. It sucks and I suck. Please don't call me again. And then running off going, I hope they call me. And you're just like, don't. And people are like, what is wrong with you? Yeah.
It's the Kiwi way though, eh? Like I don't know what it is. I don't know why we're like that. I think like other Kiwis I've had on the podcast, like Martin Henderson, for example. I think after a while they learn that this is what you have to do to survive over there.
You do. It's
so unnatural. It goes against everything we're taught.
You got it. It's interesting, but it's like the British people I've met have kind of got the same vibe as us. Like, I get it. Australians, I feel, are more the American thing. Like, when I've had meetings, and I'm like, the Australians are much more American and much more kind of confident and owning their successes and how great they are.
I feel like New Zealanders are getting better at that. If my friends on LinkedIn are anything to go by,
yes,
like their LinkedIn posts are very American.
I think LinkedIn has just created an environment where it's okay for New Zealanders to do that.
Yeah, because then all the comments immediately afterwards, no one's saying take your hand off it. It's always like, yay,
I know. So good on LinkedIn.
I wanted to ask you about this. I heard this on another podcast. So your parents were in the audience once when you did some rude jokes. You didn't in this podcast. You didn't elaborate on what it was.
There's multiple things. There's this one image boomed into my head. So in one play I did, there's ejaculate. So I am seduced by this dance, and then I ejaculate, and I had this whole rig of shampoo in my hand. And then as a fun gag, we learnt that I could spray it into the audience, and the audience would scream at it, like getting hit with shampoo. And I just remember flinging one time, and it's only then that I realised that my mother was in the audience, and it sprayed all over her face.
But did you know that she was in the crowd?
No,
or was she surprised?
I thought she was. It was like I didn't realise she was coming that night. I hadn't really thought about.
You were coming that night.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, Tom. No. So, and it wasn't until she's kind of the spray went across her glasses, I was like, this is the worst. And another time was just, when I was first starting out on comedy and stuff, like I was much more kind of frank about my sexual escapades. I was like, my poor parents. But we don't even, it's a wonderful way, they don't even kind of address it.
But that makes it even worse. Does it make it worse in a way? It's like the elephant in the room. Like, so you know you sprayed her with your fake jizz.
Yes.
She knows she got sprayed with your fake jizz.
I actually am really comfortable not kind of... I think we're both kind of happy going, let's not even address this and just keep going.
So I think this was in two separate podcasts. You talked about you were asked the same question, but by two different hosts at two different times. Your favourite karaoke song. And in one of them you said... Ace of Base, The Sign,
yes,
which is a fabulous song.
Yes.
And the other one you said House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. And I thought I could see both of them. Like The Sign's just it's a great fucking pop song.
Yes.
A gay anthem perhaps.
Yes.
House of the Rising Sun, I could imagine you doing that and doing the almost like the character voice.
Yep, you got it. It's really good, and I'd also probably throw in Chandelier in there as well. Sia's Chandelier. Sia's Chandelier? It is a yeah. But I think with the thing I chose Ace of Base because I'm not a very good singer, but one time I had to sing that song randomly, and it came to me. I was like, okay, so I've got reasonable amount of skill to do Ace of Base. House of the Rising Sun, there's a whole journey about it, and you can pretend to be in a Western, and there's a whole kind of beautiful theatrics associated with it. And then same with Chandelier, you can just kind of really let it rip.
How often does this happen? How often are you ending up at karaoke bars?
No, once a year. Yeah, once a year it's like, here's Sainsbury, but once, usually around December actually, here's Sainsbury's doing the House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah. I ran past a billboard yesterday for a play that you're doing with Chris Parker and...
Coulter, Forrester and Brindley Stent. Yeah, the four of us.
Camping.
That's right, yeah.
What is Camping?
Camping is a play that we're doing with Silo Theatre, and it is we're calling it I'm calling it like a sex comedy. So it's like an adult adult-based comedy where Kura and I play husband and wife, Chris and Brinley play newlyweds, and we've both booked the same Booker badge or Airbnb and something like that, and suddenly like we're all kind of stuck together, and it's all kind of like mounting tensions and all that kind of carry on.
And you guys did like a camp out at the theatre,
That's right,
a week ago or a couple of weeks prior to this. What for? We just like PR, or
it was for PR, and it was for PR. But people could also it was live stream, so people could check in and give us questions and stuff like that. But mostly just to get awareness about doing the play, and it was a dream come true. Loved it.
'Cause you and Chris Parker, you're really tight, eh?
Yeah, we're dear old. Well, yeah, we're dear old friends. It's been 10 years here. That's an old friend, I'd say.
'Cause what you guys do, is it quite similar or no? Like in terms of like multiple characters?
No. It's like
how's it different?
It's like a standard. It's like a Amdram British farce. So what you would go to at your small town theatre, but we're kind of putting the sheen of a bit more kind of money and stuff behind it, and we're knowingly in it, but we're just playing the one character.
Right. I mean like what you both do respectively on social media.
Sorry.
It's quite like in terms of like playing a whole lot of different characters.
What Chris and I do.
Yeah.
Yes. No. We're definitely. We are definitely. We've got slightly different takes on characters and things, but there's definitely lots of crossover, and there's also like we flick each other messages going, hey, have you done something about waiting in queue for something? And we're like, no, I haven't done that. It's like, I'm going to do a video. I'm like, perfect. And Chris for me is just the master of observation. Like I kind of fancy myself kind of enjoying that kind of stuff, but the observations he makes, I'm like, God damn it, you're so clever.
No, it's incredible though that we've got both you guys like national treasures, and you both do like these things on social media where you manage to tap into the Kiwi psyche or the Australian psyche, and you both do it so well.
Yeah.
And you're both doing it at the same time as well.
I know.
It's so cool.
And that we're friends as well. I think it's great and also inspiring. There is the thing of like, damn it, he's so, like when I'm like, why didn't I think of that? But I have that across the board whenever I watch TikTok or anything. I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah. Who sort of inspired you growing up? How old are you? What are you, 40?
I'm 42.
So was it Chris Lilly for you, or is there someone before Chris Lilly?
Chris Lilly inspired me later. But do you know who? I was actually thinking about this today. Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remember? I just remember being 6 watching Naked Gun 33 1/3 or whatever it was called in the movie cinema, I would have been 7 or 8, I can't remember, but just screaming with laughter the entire time. I just found him so funny. So strangely, Leslie Nielsen. And then after that I started watching French and Saunders, so Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders, and just all of their skits. I was like, this is me.
I love those Naked Gun movies as well.
Oh.
We had a little video store around the corner from our house in Palmerston North, and we'd hire those movies over and over again.
Yeah, so good.
The jokes never got old. Nice beaver. Yes. Don't call me Shirley.
Yes. So good. And then there was one called Airplane. Do you remember that one from? Yeah, and I just remember watching that like on repeat. Like it's just so stupid, but it's still funny. Leslie Nielsen is really good.
Hey, one thing I like talking about with my guests when they're open for it is about their mental health. How's yours been?
My mental health, how I kind of explain it is whenever I'm feeling anxious or down or anything like that, it's often I don't really kind of describe myself as a depressive or an anxious person, because it's often if you take me out of the situation. Like if I was having a stressful time and someone's like, you don't need to worry about anything more, you're going to Bali for the week, my mood would instantly be fine, and I'd totally be. So it's usually circumstantial when I'm kind of feeling down or anything like that. And it's but there are definitely kind of patterns of kind of feeling overwhelmed or not behaving in your best way or being really frightened about situations that can kind of compound. And so but the older I get, the more I'm aware of the triggers and all that kind of stuff. So I'd explain it. I do get down, I do get really anxious. Yeah.
I think that's human though, eh? you have a lot on your plate. You always have. I'm so thankful that you're here today because I know how.
Thank you for
I
having
know
me,
how
Dom.
busy you are, but
Been a long time fan.
have you?
Yeah, I have.
Likewise, but I find if I get more than a few things on my plate, I start to get like overwhelmed. Like the diary overwhelms me.
Yeah, 100%.
So how do you manage that? Like the opportunity that you've got versus how much you can actually handle.
It's still a work in process. Work in progress, Dom. So it's still happening, and I was really kind of overwhelmed earlier in the year. What has really helped, sadly, and I'm really privileged that I can afford it. I've got someone helping me, an EA, like a personal assistant kind of thing, and she's kind of helping me with this stuff. Because contracts and business emails just really drag me down, and I put them off, and then they compound and they get worse. And it's like, why haven't you signed this contract? Things to need to get moving, and just by having her there to facilitate that has just alleviated so much.
But you shouldn't. That seems common sense to me because you've got this very particular set of skills that. No one else can do really. Like it's very, very unique and it's a very special talent. So it should not be expected that you're going to be good at crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah, well, yes, I know, but being okay with I agree intellectually, but to actually believe that is hard.
And being like a self-described like people pleaser or yes man or whatever you want to call it, Do you do your own negotiations and things, or you must get fucked over a lot?
The good thing is with the kind of acting kind of stuff is that I've got an agent who looks after that kind of stuff, and so I can kind of hide behind the screen of that. But usually I'm like, whatever you want, I'll make you happy.
Yeah. Are you? I think I'm sort of like that as well. It's just like a need to be liked or something like that. Are you? As you get older, are you like getting more comfortable in your own skin and more comfortable with boundaries and things, or?
I think I'm still as bad as I always was, but I think the only improvement is the self-awareness of it. So like when I think back, my behaviour and the patterns have always been the same, but it was more in kind of denial and not really processing it. The problem is like the stakes are a bit more higher because you are kind of getting these bigger jobs and more people are kind of watching and all that kind of stuff. So it is a struggle.
But say you're out for dinner with your partner and someone comes up and they want a photo or they want to chat for a couple of minutes.
What happens?
Yeah.
I'll be like, I haven't really had any bad fan experiences, and when they come up they just want to have a photo, just kind of chat to me for a minute and then go on their way. Like I haven't had bad ones where they want to kind of monopolise my time.
So you just do it and get it over and done with.
I do it and engage, and also, but I'm also so thankful to them. Like it's not a struggle for me. Like I'm like, thank you so much for dedicating time to kind of experience, watching my stuff and having a reaction to it, and also coming up and talking to me. I actually get it's a wholly positive experience.
Yeah, because I saw an interview that Israel Adesanya, the UFC fighter, did, and he said he's become more aware of his personal boundaries. But I can understand from his perspective, it's like, he's a big star and it must happen a lot.
Yes.
But I'm probably the same as you, and I think, I'm humbled if someone comes up, and it's not like it's going to start like a line of people outside Prego.
No, exactly. No, I'm like, thank you, and it happens. There's never a line. Yeah, of course, there's never a line. There's one person by themselves. Sometimes forcing their husband to stand on the side, or forcing their husband to take the photo of us, and that's the extent of it.
Yeah. What are your goals for the future? I feel like you're just sort of. You're just sort of coming into your own, eh? Although in saying that, I probably would have said that to you when we interviewed you on The Edge like 10 years ago. It feels like it's just been a constant sort of, maybe this is just an outsider's perspective. Maybe from you it feels like there's been some peaks and troughs or whatever, but it just feels like the trajectory just keeps on going. Yeah,
I think that I kind of agree with that. What would be, it's just, I love the world of make-believe. I love characters and all that kind of stuff, and I think the future is just kind of engineering that more. I also love I really love directing as well, so if I can just engineer it so I can get a couple more directing jobs in there, that would be great too.
Yeah, what would your what would you ideally do? Like, say, money was no object. You had, say, Taika cash.
Yes.
What would you do? Would you drop the social media stuff? Would you stop acting?
Yeah, it's an interesting, I wouldn't desire that. Like, I do like having multiple threads going on. I do really like that. But if I was like, what's the one thing I'd choose? It would probably be long form stories, and that would either be like writing a book or directing a feature film. That would be number one. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Hey, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thank you.
Or can you do me now? How would you?
No. No, I'm not going to. I'm too embarrassed.
Oh, no. Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much. I'm so pleased we made this happen.
Yeah, me too.
And I think we kept it at about an hour because that's what your publicist said.
Yes, bless.
But I know how busy you are, so I'm thankful for an hour of your time.
Oh my God, thank you so much.